I turned 21 today, and honestly, it feels surreal. This milestone is something I never imagined reaching. It's a mix of so many emotions: gratitude, excitement, fear, and hope. It's one of those moments that forces you to take stock of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going, and I want to share it with you, because you've been part of this journey with me. Whether you've been here from the beginning or you're just tuning in, I feel like this new chapter isn't just mine, it's ours. Turning 21 feels like a turning point, not just because of the number, but because I feel my frontal lobe developing. This next chapter of my life is going to be full of growth, personal, creative, and in my career, and you, my dear viewer, have a front row seat to all of it. I'm diving into new projects, pushing myself artistically in ways that scare me, and I'm working on accepting myself. It's exciting to think about all these things I want to achieve, but at the same time, I won't lie, I'm terrified. There's something about stepping into the unknown that's both thrilling and unnerving. Moving on to new things means letting go of what's familiar, and that's never easy, but I'm ready. It's going to be a wild ride, and I'm so glad to have you along for it. I found myself diving into old sketchbooks and flipping through journals that I had tucked away over the years. It's a bit of a ritual for me. It's something I tend to do every year around this time, to check in with my past self, see where my head and heart have been, and reflect on how far I've come. But this time, it hit differently. Reading through those old entries, seeing how openly I wrote about my daily struggles, soul-crushing moments, and small victories of the past 2 years, it felt like I was opening a window into parts of myself that I had locked away. There's something incredibly humbling about listening to your younger self, how raw and unfiltered those thoughts and emotions were. The words capture moments that at the time felt all-consuming, but now they just sit on pages as reminders of how I've endured and matured. Going through middle school sketchbooks, for example, is like holding a mirror into a time I rarely think about anymore. I see the beginnings of my love for art and unfinished ideas and scribbled notes in the margins that tell the story of insecurity, confusion, and determination. It's strange, almost bittersweet to look back at those versions of myself. In one way, it makes me realize how much I've forgotten, how many details and moments have slipped through the cracks of my memory, or that I've tucked away. But in another way, it also reminds me of the progress I've made. Each sketch, each journal entry is a marker of growth, even if at the time it didn't feel like it. It's like seeing my evolution unfold in front of me, and while it can be so hard to relive some of those darker times, it's also a powerful reminder that I made it through. Looking back at some of those memories gives me perspective. It shows me that no matter how dark things got, I always found a way to keep going, to keep creating, and it's a reminder that I'm still on that journey of growth, just like I was back then. Each year I change a little more, and it's those subtle shifts captured in journals and sketches that remind me just how much I have grown as a person. Though I've evolved an extraordinary amount over the last 3 years on the internet, I often find myself feeling stuck. It's this strange contradiction, knowing I've made real progress but still feeling like I'm not where I thought I'd be by now. As I reflect on a version of myself I envisioned to be at 21, I can't help but mourn her. I had so many hopes, so many expectations, and yet here I am filled with regrets and disappointment for not improving as quickly or as dramatically as I had hoped. I look back and think about all the times I've wanted to do more, to be more. I've always been someone who's longing for growth, constantly setting these ideal versions of myself on a pedestal. But then when I look at reality, I realize how often I've fallen short of those aspirations. It's not that I don't care or don't want to grow, it's that I feel like I lack the motivation or drive to actually reach those ideal versions of myself. It feels like I'm always racing against time. I'm always trying to catch up to this image of who I want to be, but never quite getting there. And that's the part that hurts the most. Not just about missing deadlines or not reaching goals, it's about the constant tension between wanting to grow and feeling stuck in place, as if I'm mourning a version of myself that never fully came to be, and that leaves me feeling lost. At the same time, I've realized I don't give myself enough credit. I'm learning Spanish, I'm getting better at oil painting every day, improving my typing skills, writing more, and working on my editing skills. Sometimes I forget how much effort I'm actually putting into being the person I want to be, but that effort can lead me to burnout, which is what I mostly focus on. When you're living day to day, it's easy to overlook all the little victories. From the outside though, I'm sure it's more noticeable than it feels. I think we all have this habit of focusing on what we haven't done yet instead of celebrating how far we've already come. I'm making progress. It's not happening at lightning speed, but I'm moving forward, and that's what counts. That brings me to the next chapter of my life. As the saying goes, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's a bit cliche, but that's exactly how I've been feeling. There are some things that I can't share yet, but this momentous occasion felt like the perfect time to let you know I'm doing a bit of a rebrand. Soon I'll be transitioning to the name Morning Dove. It's a name that feels more aligned with who I am now and the direction I will be going in. When I first created TV Static Phase back in 2016, as you saw in that little sketchbook, it represented everything I wanted to be at the time. It was deeply personal and a reflection of who I was back then. But as I've grown and evolved, I've started to feel like it's holding me back. A lot of that is tied to the lingering success of my past VR content that, while meaningful to me, doesn't fully reflect where I am as an artist today. The name also holds so many memories for me that I'm so ready to move on from. It's just time to let go. Moving on to this new era under Morning Dove is both exciting and terrifying. There's so much uncertainty ahead, but also so much potential. I'm forcing myself to confront the reality that I'm moving on, and with that comes letting go of things that no longer serve me. Old expectations, past successes, even old versions of myself. I'm stepping into this next chapter with the full intention of continuing to grow, not just creatively, but personally, and I'm excited to see what's to come. Tell me your birthday rituals. Let me know. I want to hear from you. Do you find yourself going through memories too? Please leave a like and consider subscribing. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you again. Until next time.